Everyone, thank you for being here. Can we just wait for 1 or 2 more minutes because I still see people coming in. Okay. Okay. Our second speaker, Parish. Diana. Okay, because I didn't see TS Diana just now, right?
Ada masalah thing je.
That's okay. Right. I think it's 5:02, so we can start now. The speaker's ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay, cool. All right. So today, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone. Okay. So my name is Irina Harun and I am a senior lecturer at the Department of Environment, Faculty of Forestry and Environment UTM. Okay. And today's webinar session is about waste to energy, as you can see from the background. Okay, which is a topic that is very dear to my heart. Okay, I always talk about this. You know, students in here, you guys must know already. I talk about this a lot, right? But basically, I believe that now it has come to a point where we need to think about the resources that we have, okay, and the increasing population, right? And with the population, also the demand increases, and what this all means to our environment, the economy, and the people. Okay, and this is specifically talking about sustainability. And I believe everyone can play a part, okay, and be it in the capacity of individuals, if you're a student, you are an educator, business owners, industry, and policymakers. Right? So now energy is a very interesting topic. Right? It's invisible, but it's all there around us. We can see it in the electricity, in the things that you use, right? And for us in Malaysia, I'm sure that you all are familiar with TNB or Tenaga Nasional Berhad, which is a major player in the energy industry. Okay, and therefore today we have two amazing speakers, technologist Liana Yahya and TS Muhammad Afifi. Okay, both from TNB Research, a subsidiary of TNB, okay, who will share with us the industrial perspectives of this approach. Okay. So, just giving you guys a format of what to expect for today. So we'll take a few moments just to introduce our speakers, okay, and share a little bit about their background. Right? And then we will share some videos, which I hope you guys can also see what TNBR is currently doing. Right? And there will be Q&A session as well. Okay, so please, if you have any question, you can use the chat box, or you can wait until the end of the session, and you can use turn on your mic and speak. Okay, sounds good. Right. So great. Let's start with the panel introduction. So speaker one is technologist Nur Muhammad Afifi bin Zainal. Okay, he is a researcher with the Renewable Energy and Green Technology at TNB Research. He graduated with a Bachelor's of Engineering from University Malaysia Pahang and received a Master's in Science in Chemical and Process Engineering from UKM. So prior to his role in TNBR, he was also involved in a number of industrial projects while working as a senior process and service engineer. His expertise is in bioenergy engineering and solid waste and wastewater engineering, among others. And we have our second speaker, technologist Liana binti Yahya, okay, also from the same unit as TS Afifi. So she graduated with a degree and master's in biotech and biochemical engineering from the International Islamic University Malaysia. And her research interests include biological carbon capture and utilization, energy crops, and CO2 utilization and bioenergy. So let us start with our first speaker, okay, TS Afifi. So the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me share with you the slide first.
Sure, sure.
Right, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, shall we start now?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so I'm Afifi Zainal from TNB Research. So today I will share with you as what has been requested by my long friends at UKM on the waste to energy, especially on the industrial perspective. All right. Is it changed? Just want to check.
Yeah.
Check. All right.
It is.
Okay. Just a little bit since we only have 1 hour for the session. So a little bit on TNB. Right now, you guys already know that TNB was one the largest utility and energy company in Malaysia. What I want to share with you right now that TNB has changed is ambitious and aspire to be a leading provider for sustainable energy solution Malaysia and internationally. The terms that you have to catch enough is sustainable energy. So right now what we want to share with you, TNB want to portray not only on as a conventional energy company utilizing fossil fuels such as coal, diesel or petrol, but more than that, we are in a transition to become a sustainable energy whereby we highly regards on the clean energy such as hydro dam, on the solar PV, large scale solar, wind, and also we want to transform our company into that kind sustainable energy provider. So that's TNB nowadays. So why we have been changing that way? I will share with you on the next slide. Just a little bit more. While you are not sure why, usually you know that TNB focusing more on electricity, on the grid, but actually TNB has its own subsidiary, which is TNB Research, is one of the leading and largest R&D company in Malaysia. We has been established since 1993, not a profit driven, but we specialize in energy as well as environmental sector. So area of research that we are conducted, first of course, on applied research, whereby we focus more on providing a solution for TNB, especially on the issues and problem occurs at site. This which include in terms of power delivery, power generation, and also environmental management. Apart of that, this is more towards me at the advanced research. We also focus on low carbon power generation technology. Actually, just now I just told Dr. Irina, I just finished webinar session on low carbon city on renewable energy. So actually now this so in thing, the low carbon power generation. And not only that, we are now talking more about zero emission and how we are going to deal with that, as well as smart grid and the area that I'm going to talk to today on the green technology as well as renewable energy, especially in terms of bioenergy. Okay, just to share with you our company, TNB Research, you can see that that's the blue color is our main building. And if you saw the dark blue one, that was a solar panel, a floating solar, just beside our lake, the lake at our headquarters, TNB Research. All right. Okay. Like I was told you just now, why people are talking about sustainable energy, and as well as if you are from environmental area. So people are talking about climate change, carbon emission, about net zero. This also impact very significant to the energy industry, whereby now energy industry have to consider to do the changes. The terms that we call is the energy transition, which been the factors that affect on the energy transition. First, in terms of energy access and security, we have to ensure that the energy was there, as well as environmental sustainability. And not only we talked about environmental sustainability, it must also be balanced with economic development and growth. So as you understood that the higher the growth of economics of one's country, the usage of electricity also gets higher. So the demand was there. So how are you going to balance it, as well as to ensure that the price of electricity still maintained and affordable to the people and the citizen of that country. So these are we call the energy triangle, as you can see there. And just want to share with you, due to the energy transition, TNB we can consider that abandon the idea of having more development of coal-fired power plant, based from Jima East Power Plant that has been commissioned in 2009. It's been slated that to be TNB last coal-fired power plant. So no more coal-fired power plant after this, except for other extraordinary situation. But so far, we still maintain that there's no coal-fired power plant. We will ensure more on the clean energy. Like the latest news, we are going to develop hydro dam at Kelantan, more towards clean energy, and much more projects to be on a large-scale solar. So we are changing. So that's what's happening now, and that's what's happening in industry. Although there are some glitch here and there, challenges, but of course, TNB alone cannot solve this issue. We have all play our roles and our parts. All right. Okay, just a little bit more. If you can see that this not only happened to Petronas, TNB. Petronas also has aspired to be a net zero company by 2050. So as well as Sarawak Energy, also already venture into green hydrogen. So towards clean energy, towards more sustainable environment. So it's not only happening in TNB. So all around us are doing the energy transition. Okay, why we want to do all the energy transition? First of all, the target that we are going into is in terms of sustainable development goal, which we are target to end poverty, to protect the planet, and for the people to enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. Actually, I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar or not, but at least there is 17 goals in sustainable development goal. But the easiest way for you to understand the 17 goals is by divided it into 3, which is planet, peoples, and prosperity. As for number 1 is no poverty, which reflect more on the prosperity. So it's not only about climate change or environment, it's about everything. Sustainable in terms of peoples, in terms of planets, and in terms also of responsibility and prosperity. For us, our focus should be lies on the affordable as well as clean energy. As you can see that the terms of affordable brings much more significant. Although we want to change into sustainable energy, but we have to ensure that the energy generated or provided is affordable enough for the people, as well as we have to ensure the climate issue has been mitigated. All right. That's just a brief intro on the sustainability on TNB as well as TNB research. So this one more focused on what we are going to talk today. On the issue of waste to energy and how we can utilize our biomass to produce energy. Just to share with you, actually we have three types main energy biomass sources for energy production, which is the organic residues and waste, such as industrial residues, the food processing, wood processing, agriculture and forestry residue, livestock, crops, as well as municipal waste, the household waste and material building waste. A part of that, we also have forestry. When we open land, there's a lot of waste from the forestry, so we can also utilize that as a part of a biomass, which we can convert it into, pelletize it, or we make it a biochar. So different approach, many approach to converting this source of biomass into energy. Number three, the agriculture, such as a sugar, starch, oilseed crop, as well as lignocellulose plant. What I want to share here, the most important is, although we have this kind of waste or biomass, organic residue, in Malaysia, in the case of biogas or even biomass, we focus too much on palm industry. Yes, I won't deny that palm industry contribute a lot abundance of biomass, but if you can see from this slide, actually we have a few others more of a type of biomass that can be converted into bioenergy, and we just dump it at the landfill just like that. So that's been an issue. So I think we have to think about to retrofit or to change our type of feedstock, so we can spur the bio energy or biomass or biogas development in Malaysia. All right. While I already share with you what are the type of the sources, there are few methods in terms of to manage waste management. First, number one, the most conventional way is by having a landfill. Yes, in Malaysia, we have a landfill. There are sanitary landfill and unsanitary landfill, but this we can so-called a conventional way, not so efficient. We hardly to get energy from it, except for few landfill that already incorporate for biogas. But most of it haven't done anything, just sanitary landfill or the unsanitary landfill. Number two, type of method that we can use to change the waste into energy is through thermochemical process. This which is include incinerification, gasification, and also pyrolysis. A little bit on incineration or gasification or pyrolysis. While we having abundance of organic, bear in mind that most of organic in Malaysia is considered wet or contain high in moisture, wet around 70 or 80% content of moisture. So we have to think that the energy required to dry the organic before it can be converted into energy through thermochemical process requires high energy consumption. So this also being an issue in to choose this route, especially in dealing with organic substance or organic waste. Number three, the biochemical process. We have the anaerobic digestion. These are which I'm going to share more with you today. To change from the organic waste into anaerobic digestion process to turn into biogas. Then the biogas can be converted into energy. Number three is composting. We compose the organic and then we use it for fertilizer, as well as fermentation. Fermentation, there are common fermentation just to collect enzymes such as enzyme, but a part of that we also can convert into fuels such as bioethanol through fermentation process, as well as the most demand right now, hydrogen economy. using a fermentation technology to transform the organic into hydrogen. That's one of the root through biochemical process. Number 4, a mechanical process, like I'm told you just now, especially for forestry waste. We can pelletize it, we can do some chipping, or we can make it into biochar through a mechanical process. All right, that's for methods of transform the waste or biomass into energy. Okay, so today my focus more on the biogas technology. Maybe some of you not familiarized with biogas. What is biogas? What is bioenergy? And what is biomass? I'm not sure whether this group are familiar with that, but just to share with you, biogas. The terms biogas is a composition of gas that mainly is methane gas, CH4, carbon dioxide, CO2, as well as a trace of oxygen and hydrogen sulfide. So the main thing, the significant element that we wanted into the biogas composition, of course, the methane, because it was a combustible gas that can be turned into energy or electricity. So how are we going to do that? First, I can divide it into 4. Basically, we have agricultural waste such as palm meal waste, rice husk, or sorghum, napier grass can be converted into biogas, as well as a municipal waste such as food waste, domestic waste, household waste, beverage from the food and beverage industry, as well as from the hotel and commercial waste. That's also can be converted into biogas. And more, this technology more towards solid waste issues. And then we also have a type of, we call it wastewater, the domestic wastewater, industrial wastewater, such as pome, and also sagu meal effluent also can be converted into biogas. Just as an example, if you went through the Pantai NPE, New Pantai Expressway, you can see biogas that converted from a wastewater. So just beside the highway. So and then a part of that, we also can convert animal waste like chicken manure, cow dung, slaughterhouse waste can be converted into biogas. Just few years back, if not mistaken, last 1 year or 2 years, there's an issue of ammonia issue come from the river due to chicken manure has been because of the rainfall. So the chicken manure already went through to the river, and then it polluted the village, and there's a ammonia toxicity at the site. So actually, if you bring all the manure into a biogas system, anaerobic digestion system, so you can transform it into biogas and harness as energy. So for AD process, I think I won't go in depth on that, but actually there are 4 processes for anaerobic digestion process: hydrolysis, acidogenesis, acetogenesis, methanogenesis. So this is mostly more for biochemical engineer or chemical engineer to understand all this process. But I guess for you, just aware that actually there are 4 processes for producing, run in parallel for producing this biogas. So what we can do with the biogas? First, for country like European, of course, they're using for climate season, they use for heat application. For Malaysia, we'll focus more on power generation. A part of that was the main product, whereas the byproduct, we can get a biofertilizer, a liquid fertilizer. Maybe afterward, Dr. Irina can share with you some videos on it. All right, just to share with you on in terms of global biogas performances, if you can see that, and the number 1, it was in inclined phase. In 2009, there is only about 8,000 megawatt biogas has been has been installed globally, but while in 2018 is already achieving nearly 17,000. In terms of a country's performance, top 8 country, the number 1 would be Germany. But bear in mind that our neighbors, Thailand also has been listed as one of the top country for biogas, installed biogas capacity in the world. So what's different between us and Thailand? So there must be something that we can do to improve our situation, especially in bioenergy development. However, if you can see that the performance in Malaysia also showing a good sign. If you can see that in 2009, there's only 4 megawatt of biogas has been installed in Malaysia, whereas in 2017 it's already reaching 81, and then 2018 about 90 megawatt. I believe now is much more higher than that. And it also can be improved more, because if you can see that at the number 4, we only focus so much on palm oil, milk effluent, pomade, which consists about 92% for biogas production. So there's a plentiful more spaces for us to develop a biogas in Malaysia. All right, just to share with you how we can do that in terms of biogas feedstock. For pomade is top number 1 because it's contain high or in terms of organic load. Organic load reflect in terms of how much the biogas can be produced from that feedstock. So for pomade is about 60,000 to 100,000 milligram per liter of COD, whereas if you can compare for food waste, it contains 250,000 milligram up to 400,000 milligram per liter of COD. This is a result, not global result, but actually I'm using these numbers is from our own research for Malaysian types of food waste, about 250 up to 450,000 milligram per liter of COD. And it also was the second largest CO2 emitter, if based from UNFCCC report 2020. Apart of that, we also have a sewage plant. If you can see that my picture with my intern and also my colleagues for Pantai STP. Usually the organic load contain around 7,000 to 15,000 milligram per liter of COD. Apart of that, we also can use animal waste, which also contain high in organic, 120 to 180,000 milligram per liter of COD. All right, just to share with you our innovation in the TNB research, I just finished the project for co-digestion of biogas production, which means that we mix 2 types of feedstocks for biogas production. In this case, we use food waste, municipal solid waste, especially the food waste, as well as the animal waste, the chicken manure. So based from that, when we chart for sustainable development goals, we saw that at least 8 out of 17 SDG can compliance with if this project can be turned into a commercial development. First, number 1, it contribute towards sustainable development goal number 1, no poverty, which it creates jobs opportunities to all level of worker, high skill or low skill. Why? Because we need a biochemical engineer, we need chemists, and at the same time we need municipality workers to collect and segregate waste, especially the food waste. So part of that, in term, we also contribute in terms of SDG 2, zero hunger, which we provide reduced cost of fertilizer through biofertilizer produced as a byproduct from the biogas process. SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. Of course, this is biogas, so we provide clean energy for it. And then diesel work and economic growth. If we can leverage on the municipal waste as well as the animal waste, we can provide open up a new business market and new business for especially in terms of energy transition. The SDG 9, innovation and infrastructure, this where we did this research, especially on co-digestion project. Just to share with you, for this project, we also collaborate with UPM under Department of Chemical Engineering, as well as Department of Chemical Engineering, Civil Engineering, sorry. SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Of course, now we are targeting for low carbon cities by having there's less burden for landfill. So less, why? Because all the organic can be translated into biogas and not being degraded at the landfill and producing GHG gases. And SDG 13, climate 13 action, of course, as I'm telling just now, we reduce the GHG gases. And number 17, partnership for growth. This project cannot be done just by having a TNB alone. Again, we have to collaborate with entities such as Solid Waste Corporation, KPKT, as well as Department of Veterinary to ensure this project to be a success. All right. Of course, in any technology or in any project, there are challenges and constraints for it to being developed. First, number one, in terms of the stakeholder, especially when you been asked, you want, especially me, I'm being asked, you want to solve the waste management issues or you want to produce renewable energy. So there's an overlapping issue actually, especially whether in terms of stakeholder, whether it was KETSA, Kementerian Tenaga, or KPKT, Kementerian Perumahan, or even MOSTI, especially in technology development. So overlapping issue also consists of federal versus state, especially in terms of site selection, whether it should be by federal or by state government. And also in terms of policy, in state such as Wilayah Persekutuan, Kedah, as well as Johor, there was under Act 672, whereas for negeri states such as Selangor, it was under Local Government Act 171. So the different acts for the similar issue. So in terms of society, number two, we have to start educate and create awareness among Malaysians to practice waste separation. I believe UPM has started that, and I believe this also contributes to high impact in terms of green university index for UPM. Apart of that, we have to implement and also enforce waste segregation, because this act actually already been there since 2015, but the enforcement quite low. Okay, in terms of economics, there's challenges in terms, again, like I said just now, whether you want to focus more on renewable energy or to focus more on waste management. Why? This is because it contributes in terms of a monetary, especially in feed on tariff for biogas production through e-bidding or tipping fee for waste management. And also again, in terms of risk management and financial model, especially for feedstock that hasn't been matured enough, such as municipal solid waste or animal waste, is hardly to be bankable compared to palm oil mill effluent for biogas production. In terms of technical, the issues is more on we don't have a real-time statistic on waste generation, especially to ensure there is enough full supply for the project, as well as there's no commercial scale yet for food waste anaerobic digestion in Malaysia, and the issue in terms of food waste feedstock for pre-treatment. Okay, just to share with you how I see the future in the biogas, especially on waste to energy future, especially in terms of a circular economy model, and to transform the biogas into advanced biorefinery. If you can see, that's number one, we have to start segregate solid waste, especially the organic waste, and let the truck compactor take it and do the collection, and all these segregated organic waste to be converted through anaerobic digestion technology. That's not enough. So what we can do then, we can upgrade the biogas into renewable natural gas by upgrading the biogas from 50% methane content in the biogas up to 97%. So it will comparable to natural gas, and that natural gas can be injected into the national gas grid. Again, the national gas grid can be used as fuel as well as electricity. And not only that, if you focus more on the anaerobic digestion process, we can expand the AD process into two stages, the first stages and second stages, whereby the first stages we can produce the biohydrogen. Hello? All right. Biohydrogen, and through a purification process, we can separate the hydrogen as well as CO2, and that CO2 can be used for biocarbon capture utilization. This the biocarbon capture utilization will be explained more from TS Liana. And again, the biohydrogen from the first stage, we can spur for green hydrogen economy. So that's actually how we see this AD process that can be advanced into a biorefinery. All right, I think that's all from me. Maybe Dr. Irina can share a video on biogas to the audience.
Yep. Okay. Let me first try, because sometimes what happened with my computer is that people cannot hear the sound. So let's try first. Okay, just give me one moment.
I hope I follow the time schedule.
That's okay. I think it's a very interesting thing actually, because we see a lot of familiar stuff, okay, but it is more tailored towards the industry. Okay? And sometimes you don't know the relationship, who would have thought that food waste, TNB would work on food waste, right? That is something that is very interesting. So I'm trying still. Just 1 minute. Okay. So yeah, this is the limitation of online webinars, I guess.
There.
Okay. Can you hear the sound? Maybe not. No sound, right?
There's no sound. It's okay, I can explain it without sound.
Okay. All right. Just one. I'll try one.
The background sound.
Yeah, you can be the background.
It's okay, you can play it even without sound. Just because just want to share with the student especially, and what we have done.
Okay, sure. I'll just share this one, I guess. Oh my God.
I look forward for a question. Yeah?
There are a number of questions actually in the.
Oh, okay. Maybe while you trying, maybe we can. Yeah.
Okay. First question. Even though there is an option for these sources, I guess the biomass sources, okay, are the industries cooperating, or is it hard to get them involved?
Again.
Okay, even though there is an option for using these different types of biomass, okay, are the industries cooperating, or is it hard to get them involved?
Yep, that was one of the challenge, especially when we already have a matured industry, especially the palm industry. So when dia macam lubuk emas lah semua orang going for, palm oil mill effluent and stop trying to develop the new technology, especially in handling the municipal solid waste, the organic fraction of municipal solid waste. However, if you can see in different perspective, country like European country, Japan, China, or even our neighboring country in Singapore, Australia, they don't have palm oil mill effluent, and yet they still producing bioenergy, especially biogas from organic. So their main, especially like Germany, their main contribution from see in different perspective. I hear echo. Okay, so
Okay, there's an echo.
Alright, so such as Germany, they focus more on bio waste, which is include the food waste as well as animal waste and agro waste. So they don't have palm oil mill effluent. So if you see that as a way forward, actually we open up a new market for a new startup company to invest and to gain more due to and broaden the market for bioenergy. So that's how I see it, and how we can gain opportunity from that area. Again, we also have to ensure that not only the industry but the graduates that comes from the university must be equipped enough or have the knowledge and information on the this kind of technology. So once they go into the career pathway, the industry don't have to do so much on capacity building, especially on the biogas technology. So at least at the fundamental level, they already known how to deal with it. So that's also will be helpful for the industry.
All right.
That's my comment.
Okay, thank you, TS Afifi. Okay, just let's try once more with the video.
So once they
Can you see the sound?
Yeah, I can hear the sound. Industry.
Okay, cool.
So this waste segregation has been done just to check whether there is spoon. See, the aluminum can was not inside there. But throughout the time, I guess when people start to create the awareness on waste separation, so they will be better. So these are food waste been dumped and been transferred into the AD system. This is the AD system, the dry AD technology. You can see that the biogas is filling up, and these are the digestate, the liquid fertilizer that contain high nutrients, which we've been stored, and we use it to fertilize the garden. And these are ones the biogas been used for electricity is going down. Been dumped and been transferred into the.
So
Just
very
a short video.
and I guess okay, we'll get back right back to it because there are a number of questions as well. But I guess
Right,
let's invite our second speaker because it's 25:40. So okay, maybe TS Liana.
Okay.
You
Let me share the slide first.
of course. There are questions there that we can probably go into afterwards.
Can you see my slide?
Yep,
All right.
loud and clear.
Okay. So, Assalamualaikum and very good evening to all of you. So, it's almost 6. So, I hope that you can bear with me for this 20 to 30 minutes. So, today I'll be covering the topic on biological carbon capture and utilization. So, maybe some of you haven't heard, or maybe some of you know on this issue. But first, before we go details on the topic, let us first see the overview or scenario of power generation and also CO2 emission in Malaysia. So we know that, well, over the past few years, the average of CO2 concentration in the atmosphere is increasing. And we know that previously, if we learn in primary school, the CO2 level in our ambient is actually just around 0.03%, which is 300 ppm. But currently, the average of CO2 concentration in our ambient has already reached the average of 400 or 450 ppm, whereby actually the safe level is around 350. So as you can see here from the left figure, there are many sectors which contribute to this CO2 emission. And one of the main contributors is power industry. So we, TNB is of course is one of the power industry, and this is become a motivation for us to basically to reduce the CO2 emission, to basically contribute to low carbon mitigation approach. And then we know that in you can see the right figure, this number are increasing by years. So actually for industry, the Paris Agreement has become a critical turning point for not only Malaysia, but global community, where Malaysia has committed to reduce CO2 emission by 45% in 2030. So being one of the energy industry, and also one of the, I would say, largest CO2 emitter, I believe that we could contribute towards achieving this national target. All right, and then now let us see on what are the approaches available in reducing or mitigating the CO2 emission. There are actually several approaches available, as you can see here. Some of them have been applied, still under consideration, and also some of them is still under R&D. But I would say from this figure, there is none of them is superior, but there are more to complementary one another. So you guys are the young generation nowadays, right? Most of you must have Twitter account. So if you're aware that in earlier this year, the Tesla CEO has announced in his Twitter that he is donating around 100 million USD towards prize for the best technology that can capture CO2, can capture carbon dioxide. So I believe he was brave enough to announce this, because he actually knows that there is no single technology or approaches that can solely solve this issue. So of course, each and every technology do have its pro and cons. Thus, the best approaches is actually by integrating a few suitable technologies. So you can see from the figure here that each technology has their own efficiency percentage in contributing towards this low carbon mitigation approach. And like TSRCC said just now, the energy transition from current fossil fuel and also coal towards application of renewable energy and also other alternative fuel is among the proactive approaches in reducing CO2 emission. However, the means in dealing the carbon dioxide itself from post-processes is another issue to be deal with. All right, so let us now move to the emergence of circular economy and sustainable development. So if we look back into 5 or 10 years back, researchers, engineers, and even academicians, I would say, are just eager in technology development without really care on this circular economy, sustainable development. And however, in recent years, we see that people are more aware of the importance of these two aspects. So what I actually meant by these two terms, so there are actually many interpretations. You can even Google it, but let me just simplify this term. So sustainable development is actually the development that meets present needs, but without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their needs. So in other words, we can say that in our assignment of developing a technology, we must also balance or mitigate its possible impact to these basically three elements, which is social, economic, and also environment. In fact, there are many ways on how to measure sustainability, like I put in the left corner here. And of course, one of it is by the measurement of its carbon footprint. So, and let us now see the definition of circular economy. Well, actually, this circular economy is the subset of sustainable development, whereby it aims at eliminating waste by basically utilizing the waste or using renewable resources, like you see in Afifi presentation just now. We are utilizing the food waste and converting it into something valuable, which is for us the energy production. But talking about RE, there are many sources such as wind, hydro, municipal waste, and others, whereby we can convert this into energy, basically to create a closed loop system, whereby we can minimize the creation of waste, pollution, and also carbon emission. All right, and of course, these two terms, of course, they will reflect back to the Global Sustainable Development Goals, which are already being detailed out by PSRPP. So, where this action in one area basically will affect the outcomes in another area, and develop all the development of new technology and RE should be balanced into 5 important pillars that reflect to sustainability, which are economy, social, environmental, culture, and also security. All right, so now I move into the details of what are carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies. So basically, there are a few alternatives on this, the short form we call CCUS technology, where there are a few technology available with different mechanism and also level of maturity, which include the pre, during, and also post-combustion approaches. Well, we know that in Malaysia, currently, coal is still one of the biggest sources for energy generation due to its attractive price and also higher output efficiency. But we know that the energy transition now, not only in Malaysia, but throughout the world, basically involving the transition from this fossil fuel towards RE. But of course, this that's why we call it a transition process, because it requires awareness, the maturity of technology, and also involvement from government, the legal perspective, and so on. So we know that as you can see, here that I've highlighted some of the research areas that have been conducted by us at TNB Research. And the one that we are focusing today is the utilization of CO2 by biological means, which is in this case, we are using microalgae. So moreover, we are also currently working on the CO2 utilization by energy crops, which can help improving, the CO2 can help improving their productivity in terms of quality and also quantity that soon later can be used as a biomass resources for energy generation. All right. So talking about CCUS, so in few years back, people are talking only about carbon capture and storage, which is CCS, without mentioning on the or stressing on the utilization part. But we know that there are recently there are emerging technology on CCU rather than CCS storage. So basically, this is due to multi-dimensional issue which exists in this carbon capture and storage, whereby in each sector it requires R&D and also higher cost. For example, if we are talking on the capturing sector, of course, it requires higher cost and energy intensive, basically for compressing technology to be implemented. However, we know currently in Malaysia, there is, I would say, none incentive available on the CO2 mitigation approach. So what normally happen in Malaysia, some industry will compress their CO2 gases and sell it to other industries, where the other industries will use this raw material to basically producing other products. So if the industry were to implement carbon capture and storage, then after capturing, they would definitely need to transport this compressed CO2 to another suitable place that will not only incur an additional cost to the industry, but they also need to deal with multiple authorities to transport it to other states or even other countries. So, and last but not least, to come there's another big issue, which is on storage part. So in Malaysia, we in Malaysia really have availability space or land to store the CO2? I don't think so. For current situation, we don't have enough space or land to basically store this compressed CO2 underneath our land. So not only that, we need also to think on the monitoring aspect in the short term and also long term, which definitely acquire another high maintenance cost. And again, talking about sustainability in my previous slide, is this approach safe? So currently, I would say there is no concrete evidence on the potential impacts to our environment, as the CO2 were pressurized and being injected underneath of the land surface. So could this become a possible reason for earthquake or tsunami? So something for us to think about. And even there is, as I said before, there is non-regulation on CO2 in Malaysia, but we need to prepare ourselves as our neighboring countries, which is Singapore, has already imposed carbon tax on large direct emitters starting in 2019. So we could be next because we are just neighboring countries. So this is basically our motivation to become a driver's seat on the technology if there is future regulation on CO2 to the industry. All right. So now we will be discussing on the main topic today, which is biological carbon capture and utilization. All right. Where? Okay. Okay. We in TNB Research have started this biological carbon capture utilization project since 2011 with the aim to reduce the CO2 emission from energy industry and also promoting circular economy through its downstream product. So what does it actually mean by bio-CCU? So bio-CCU is actually the CO2 utilization by microalgae, and it is considered to be a sustainable alternative approach as this CO2 gases or CO2 form is naturally sequestered or fixed by the algae, and then it being converted into oxygen and also organic matter through their photosynthesis process. So why bio-CCU? So what are its advantages? Well, like I said before, this approach is basically to unlock the potential of carbon utilization as an alternative to carbon storage, which I would say not really viable in Malaysia. And the second one is to promote circular economy by recycling or utilizing the CO2 into biomass, which can be further converted into valuable downstream products, including biofuel, nutraceutical, aquaculture food, fertilizer, and so on. And the other two reasons which have a relation between one another, which is development of low carbon economy mitigation of greenhouse gas emission that would then contribute to the sustainable development goal. All right, so talking about bio-CCU project in TNB Research, we are the first biological carbon capture. We have the pilot plant facility in Malaysia, which tested under real life coal-fired power plant. So you can see down there our pilot scale photobioreactor, where actually Dr. Irina is one of our team back in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So this pilot plant is being tested at one of our coal-fired power plant in TNB Sultan Azlan Shah Power Station in Perak, in Sri Manjung, Perak. All right, so okay. Now talking about the research focus in this biological carbon capture and utilization, there are intensive research has been carried out basically to develop a feasible and also efficient system for CO2 reduction or mitigation in industrial scale and utilization of CO2 by microalgae. But I would say the efficiency of this biological CO2 utilization is really depends on few parameters or aspects. So thus we in TNBR are looking in a few angles, including species, culturing, the bioreactor itself, harvesting, and also its downstream potential. So you can see here, in terms of species, we already study in terms of indigenous species, whereby our species that we use in our pilot system are actually isolated from the vicinity of power plant seawater itself. And we have also tested both for mono, which is single species, and also consortium species. And we found out that the consortium species is giving a better result. And not to forget, in terms of phototrophic and also mixotrophic species. And then in terms of culturing, we have identified the optimum culture parameter and also as well as the nutrient media. And we also did some research on the culturing technique, which involves some automation because of course talking about pilot plant, we need something the setup to basically to ease the pilot operation and also maintenance. And in terms of bioreactor, we did some design and engineering of the suitable pilot photobioreactor selection and the application of nanomaterial, basically to enhance the CO2 uptake by this microalgae in the photobioreactor system. Talking about harvesting, so far we didn't cover so much because we are just using the industrial centrifuge system. But we did some tests on bioflocculant, basically to reduce the energy consumption on this harvesting activity. And last but not least, on the downstream products, we did screen for its bioactive compound and also biodiesel potential. And with nearly 10 years experience, Alhamdulillah, we have several intellectual properties on this area, which include patents, utility and innovation, and also some trade secrets. All right, so like I said just now, this BioCCU approaches, one of the aspects that people are looking into is on their attractive market of its downstream product potential. So talking about circular economy, this BioCCU can definitely promote revenue or returns out of its biomass. Well, this algae biomass has actually very broad or wide spectrum in terms of its downstream application. As you can see here, the biomass can be applied from a very simple or direct application, such as fertilizer, up to a complex product like pharmaceutical or nutraceutical product. So, well, of course, the price will definitely differ based on its pre-treatment complexity and also stringent safety and health requirements. For example, like pharmaceutical and nutraceutical products, they had to undergo toxicity and also clinical trials, right? Like for example, the vaccine nowadays that we are looking forward for COVID-19, right? So, of course, the price really depends on the treatment or any health requirement that are required. So, of course, the nutraceutical product, for example, would definitely have higher value, but with just a small amount. Okay. And then on your right hand side here, I'm sharing the data on our biochemical compounds potential. And you can see that from our indigenous species, there are rich with proteins and also lipids. And down there, you can see the comparison of our bioactive compound derived from our species compared to other commercial species, which I would say at par or even higher in some compounds. Right. So before I end my presentation, let us now see what are actually the challenges and also opportunities of this BioCCU research area. So for the challenges, like I said before, it involves quite expensive startup for the installation cost. However, this cost could be offset or could be balanced with the downstream product development. And in terms of carbon dioxide itself, for other industry, it is quite limited or costly. But however, for us, like power industry, it is actually a waste resources for us, whereby we can utilize this to something valuable. So, and then another challenges is in terms of harvesting and pre-processing technology. It involves high energy intensive due to its watery state, the algae itself. And of course, it also requires huge investment for operation and maintenance. And in terms of efficiency, I would say this BioCCU approach has a marginal fixation rate to allow for a significant CO2 emission reduction. And like I said before also, the unavailability of Malaysian economic incentive for any CO2 abatement initiative in Malaysia. But we know, right, there's a quote saying that while the challenges are great, so are the opportunities. So actually, it is up to us how we can change these challenges into opportunities. So like being discussed before, there is actually none of technology that is superior. So there are more of complementary. Thus, I would say this technology, this BioCCU technology shall be integrated with other carbon capture technology. For example, absorption using amine base, which are proven to capture more than 90% of CO2. However, it do have issues on the CO2 utilization. So if we can integrate these two technologies, it will be balanced between one another. And the other good things of this BioCCU technology is that it can retrofit the existing carbon capture technology, as it does not interrupt the conventional gasification process. And we know that being one of the Asian countries, we do have a well-conducive environment that are really suitable for microalgae growth throughout the years. If we compare to other Europe countries where they have 4 seasons, so it's really hard for them to grow algae at certain months or years. So we need to take this opportunity being in an Asian country to grow microalgae for BioCCU approach. And in terms of biomass, of course, these microalgae offer various valuable byproducts, like we see in my previous slide before, that can support the industrial symbiosis. And also, last but not least, for power utilities like us, TMB, this technology can become a readiness for any future carbon directive or regulation, and to improve the public acceptance on our new plant up letter. So lastly, on the way forward, of course, there should be more R&D study being conducted to improve or enhance the performance of this biological fixation. And the development of pilot biorefinery plant could also help in achieving economic viability and sustainability of this technology. And for us, of course, for each industry, we need to identify what are really suitable byproducts that relevant for the industry. For example, like TMB, what are actually the byproducts that can relate or relevant to our business. And of course, all of this could not be possible without strong collaboration and networking from other industry, organization, and also academicians in basically supporting on the technology or the technical background behind the technology. So I guess that's all from me. So maybe Dr. Irina can share another video on this BioCCU project by TMB Research.
Right. We can stop sharing first. Kejap eh. Give me 1 second.
The technology or the technical background behind the technology. So I guess that's all from me.
It's a background noise.
Maybe Dr. Irina can share another video. Okay, so this is our pilot plan that we've conducted at TNB Jalan Manjung and also at TNB Research.
Background noise.
So this is our pilot plan that we've conducted at TNB Jalan Manjung and also at TNB Research. Okay, so basically
Right, that's great.
today's session, I hope that you can relate what you learn in your course and then how to basically implement it at industrial perspective later.
Right, thank you very much, Tia Sienna, and also Tia Safifi as well, for the very enlightening sharing session. Okay, I guess there are a lot of familiar things, I guess, with you guys as well from the students. Okay, some we have already learned about anaerobic digestion, for example, you know, and then how we can see how it is currently being implemented, okay, not only in our country, not only in Malaysia, but also all over the world. Okay, we can see the data is there, and that's definitely showing it is a sustainable way of doing it. One thing I would like just to highlight, I like the word industrial symbiosis. Because that is, you know, having one industry's waste as, you know, the feedstock for another, okay, and that generates some sort of, that's basically the embodiment of circular economy, in my opinion, because you, somehow we want to optimize resources. We are moving towards that. Being sustainable means that we try to reduce waste as much as we can. Okay, whenever you can reuse it, recycle it, and produce other things, right? We do have a number of questions, and it's already 18 past 8, so I guess, can we have 5 minutes for Q&A? Okay,
Yeah, sure.
I know,
I
right?
even summarized some questions, so maybe I just
Okay, sure.
glance through. First, I got from Sumaya. She asked whether edit process is very costly. What I can say, if you saw just now the graph, it's still a lucrative and having a good profit project for biogas. So I think in terms of costly, it depends how you define cost, whether in terms of operational cost or capital cost for having that AD. So, but again, like I said, it still can gain profits and is a lucrative project. Apart of that, is it easy to adapt? Of course, in the case of Malaysia, for anaerobic digestion process, usually it consists of 3 types of environment, whether it mesophilics or thermophilic, another one is acrophilics. So in the case of Malaysia, we are more lean towards mesophilics, whereby in European or for climate season country, they need to involve some heating element inside the AD system. In the case of Malaysia, we just use our natural environment because our temperature climate is around 28 to 35, sometimes like that. So I think it's just good enough. Or else, if you wanted more biogas production, yes, we can install a heating element for thermophilic production. But again, for a normal condition, a mesophilic condition, that's good enough and easily to adapt, especially in the case of Malaysian climate. And Sumaya also asked about countries in Asia. I think I went through one webinar session with a China counterpart. He said that China also has been evolved from normal practice of landfill. Now they are changing into AD as well as incinerators. So the organic waste goes into the AD system for biogas production, whereas the dry waste goes into incinerators. So by having this, both are performing well because the efficiencies is getting better especially for the incinerator, because there's less wet waste inside the system. And for the AD system is more targeted for organic waste, so the production of biogas more cleaner and getting better. So that's the case for Asia. And in the case for I just share about in Singapore, they're also trying to do now do co-digestion process, which is to mix the wastewater, the sewage wastewater with the food waste for biogas production. That's the case for Asia. And then the question from Aina, is it AD takes longer time? Okay, this is a little bit on technical, but actually it reflects to the hydraulic retention time and also organic loading rate, which you have to determine in early phases of the project. So it relates back to the design of the anaerobic digestion reactor. So it can be catered through technical methods. So I don't think it's been an issue for whether it takes a longer time or not, because while we are doing it for commercial scale, we have to do it in continuous basis. So the continuous reactor must be in line, because every day we create a waste, right? So we have to cater it for daily usage. And that for Aina and Hui Teng. Regarding the upgrading of biogas, in the case of Malaysia, I can say it's still slow and still at infant stage, although there's a company like Felda Venture also has been done the biomethane production at one of their palm oil mill effluent, palm oil mill plant for biomethane production, and some Sirim also have done at Sabah. So I think there's a more opportunity for biomethane. In the case of a global effort, at Canada, Toronto City already emulate this. The design that I showed you just now reflect to Toronto City's municipality, whereby they use their organic waste from the household, bring it to the AD system, and then turn it into renewable natural gas. And that natural gas, they inject it into the national gas grid pipeline, whereby this also has been emulated by Australia. I think some of Europe country also already changed from bio just for production of biogas and retrofit it into biomethane, because it's more valuable. Imagine that now we don't have to use fossil fuel anymore, because we can have natural gas through our food waste. So imagine that. So that's how we change the effort. In this case of biogas upgrading, I think based on my personal point of view, I think Sabah might be a good state for doing this project, because not only because low penetration of renewable energy in Sabah, but also Sabah having a lot of palm oil mill plant that can be converted into that some of it already have a biogas, which then we can convert it into renewable natural gas, the biomethane. And again, Sabah also have issues in terms of electricity and fuel or something like that. So if we can do that in Sabah, yes, I know that it must have some political will, some effort from all of stakeholders, but I guess that will be a very good candidate to solve their issues of electricity as well. And then Chan Yao Wen, what are we going to do with fossil fuel? Again, now we try to avoiding fossil fuel. We have like a European country, Japan, Korea, they already targeted for net zero by 2050. 2050, they will get net zero. That's their target. Although it's ambitious, but we have to do it now. So we haven't having it yet in Malaysia, although we targeted for 45% of renewables, but we not yet bold enough, I can say, to set target for 2050 for net zero. But again, this also reflects to the industry. When the country already ambitious to become net zero, so the what we call the investor have to ensure that their company won't involve to invest in a country or company that emitted high intensity of carbon. So they will move away from those countries. That's what we call a green economy index. So as you can see, in the case of Malaysia, Hyundai company from a Korean already bring their meals to industry to Indonesia and also to Singapore, because this country have a policy to support green economy as well as electric vehicles to reduce the greenhouse gases emission. So this not only issues of environment, but also it reflect in terms of economics, green economics. So think about that. So I think you guys as a graduate, you have to see where we should bring Malaysia, how we're going to move forward. I guess I'm answering issues of what to do with the fossil fuel. That we try to move away from fossil fuel, but again, yes, we can still use fossil fuel for other purposes like petrochemicals or other things. But the industry will be there, but people are changing and gradually changing, and it might be getting slower and in the future times. So that's how it.
Yep.
And another question on the, is it composting can reduce the CO2 emission? Again, this come back to the fundamental. Composting is an aerobic process whereby AD, anaerobic digestion, is an aerobic process, which is for composting it using oxygen, and then it creates carbon dioxide, it produces CO2. So it emits more CO2. Whereas for AD process, although it also creates CO2, but it also creates methane. That's a lesser of carbon dioxide, and that's why we if you asking about whether which are more greener, for me I'm voting for AD because it will be less CO2 production. All right,
great. Thank you, the SRPP, for the summary. I guess the summary of all the questions.
Yeah.
I do have can we have like a few more minutes? I have one question for the Asiana, okay, sent through not through the chat but through the WhatsApp. Okay. One is the flue gas that was produced from the combustion of fuel also contain other things other than CO2. So how does this affect the growth of the microalgae?
Right. Okay. If talking, of course, if we are talking about flue gas, it's not only consisting of CO2 but also like SO2, NO2, and other traces elements. But we know that in Malaysia, there is a regulation under the Department of Environmental on other gases instead of CO2. So for other gases like NOx, SOx, power plant or other industry, do have to obey with the limit that for the emission limit given by the DOE. So basically the emission from flue gas for other gas compound like NO2, SO2 is only, I would say, the level is quite low. So in our study, yes, we do see the effects of other gases like this NO2 and also SOx, but it's actually when it passes through the algae culture, it actually being converted into nutrient. For example, like NO2, it partial of the NO2 gases will be transformed into nitrate, which is actually contributed to the nutrient media for microalgae. But at the same time, this SO2 and NO2 also will affect the pH medium of the microalgae, where we know that for the optimum condition, it requires pH around 7 to 8. So for our pilot system, we do have a pH controller So basically to control or to make sure the pH condition is on the optimum reading. So if the pH is below its optimum reading, we need to basically stop the flue gas admission and let for some time for the algae basically to balance the pH and also its media. Yeah. So basically, so far our species is really robust and can withstand the other gases in flue gas part of CO2.
Right. I guess that answers the question. So there's one more. I don't know if we have time, but maybe just very quickly, 1 minute. And I'm going to shorten it. So do you think that the technology, the algae, using algae to capture CO2 can be adopted in a larger scale, not only in TNB, but also power players in the rest of the world?
Yeah, okay. Like you see in my slide just now, I would say if this microalgae technology is only focusing on its objective on CO2 utilization or CO2 mitigation, I would say it is quite it will be a burden for the industry because it require higher installation costs. So I would say if industry were to adapt this technology, they need to ensure there is integration with other technology, and also they need to think what are the possible products that they can produce out of its biomass, so that we can, like I said just now, the biorefinery concept would be the most sustainable approach, whereby installing this bio-CCU with other downstream applications such as maybe biofuel and also methanation by utilizing, because if we are talking about only bio-CCU, for example, to mitigate only 1% from CO2 from flue gas, need a really large area for this photobioreactor to be implemented. So just I would rather what I would say the integration of several technology like chemical absorption first to capture CO2, and then CO2 being applied to microalgae and other biorefinery approaches would be the best way, basically to balance the higher cost of this technology implementation.
Right. I guess thank you very much for Tiasana for the answers, and also to the SFPP as well. Okay. I hope you guys, all the audience, we can learn together. There's so many new things out there, and how we want to adopt that into, you know, our daily life, of course. But looking forward to the future, to your career, your own career, how you are going to bring all this knowledge into, you know, the practices later on. Okay. So if we can have just one photo session. Okay, you guys, please, if you can turn on your camera. Okay, it would be great for us to take one picture. Okay, take one. Now I see everyone. Okay, just one moment, I guess. Almost there. Okay, nice. Smile, everyone. You guys look so. You're tired, isn't it? Imagine our speaker. They must be more tired, right? So okay, ready. So I guess I will be taking the picture, right? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, that's one. Okay, we just quickly save that first. Right. Second page. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3. So you guys, you never know which page you are. So let's just continue smiling. Okay, page 3 now. 1, 2, 3. All right. And last one. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we are done. Right. So thank you for staying on. Okay, I hope we all learn together, right? And stay safe. Thank you very much to both of our speakers, right? Looking forward to speaking, talking, and researching with you guys again in the future, right? And well, that's it. Thank you and stay safe. I guess. That's it.
Right.
Right.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you. Thank you all. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Right. Tanya thank you saya je. Speaker.
Thank you, panel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sama-sama. Terima kasih.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bila
Hmm.
sorry to panelist juga macam
It's okay.
Patutnya kita buat 2 jam kan?
1 jam tak cukup lah dengan kita orang.
Okay. Alright. So tak apa, nanti later on we'll arrange some session. Coffee session kena ada.
Nah, ada.
Kan?
Virtual.
Okay.
Alright, thank you
Alright.
then.
Thank you everyone. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Yes,